Welcome to the setup. We are super excited today. We are going to be discussing something that's super imperative in life. I call it the three A's: apologies, accountability, and actions to follow. I'm excited about this topic.
I'm excited as well, man. So, you came up with the topic.
I know.
Yeah, so let's just dive in it. So we're excited to be back. I'm having these real raw conversations. It seems like when we talk, we want you guys to come on into these conversations that we have on a regular basis. And so one of the things I love about this topic is it starts off with apology.
Yes.
Apology. And I know that that word is a word that is really difficult for some people because sometimes pride or even feeling like you're right it keeps you from saying, I don't have to say I'm sorry, I didn't do anything wrong. But I can say that apologizing and forgiving, which is coupled with apology, has been something that's transformational in my life. And it's something that's really easy for me. I know it's not easy for everybody. We was actually just talking about that.
I know, I was getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll apologize like, I'm sorry, and get it over with. But here's the thing, like with me, with the apology, I can't apologize. I'm such a step-by-step person. Like the apology isn't the biggest for me. It's literally what follows after. So I need to see like the accountability piece to make sure that you understand why you're apologizing, and then I need the action to follow. So even if I don't get the apology, I'm okay. That's crazy.
Yeah. And for me, I think that sometimes personality types like yours, you can be so quick to jump to the action that you forget to acknowledge how difficult it is for some people to just say I'm sorry.
That's good.
Like that's a big thing for people.
For
Like
sure.
so for me, the apology in itself is so massive to me because it takes so much to be able to say
That's
it.
true.
You know. And for me, it's not easy just because it seems easy because you do it often. It's still not an easy thing to do because it's really
You make it look easy, sis.
yeah, but it's not because a lot of times when I'm apologizing, sometimes I know I'm not wrong.
Right.
But I learned the difference between being
I'm still
right.
learning in that, y'all.
Yeah.
I am. I'm still growing in that. She's more mature in that you'll apologize even when you're not wrong because you just want to reconcile. And I'm like, nah, sis, nah, bruh. We need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you're definitely more mature in that space.
Yeah, and I think that it just one of the reasons why is because I understand that it's more important for me to be in right standing with God or the people I love than being right. Like it doesn't matter if I'm right because a lot of times I am right. Like I'm just being. Sometimes
Y'all heard
I'm
it
not.
on camera first.
Yeah, like, and I'm still, because I'm not apologizing for the principle. And I think you and my husband, you and T, just alike, y'all principle people. I understand the facts in it, but sometimes you're just apologizing for how that person may feel or how you made them feel.
But for me, I have to understand again what I'm apologizing for because I'm in complete agreement with you. We have to be in right standing with Christ, period. To follow that, sometimes I think apologizing can aid that person.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure when we're apologizing, are we not enabling that person's action by just apologizing and making sure they understand the principle behind it.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because I don't even think about that. That's crazy how we're wired different. For me, I think about how can there be a common ground between me and this person?
And you think apologizing is gonna do
because it humbles. It basically is I'm submitting to wanting to be in right standing with you. So it's kind of one of those things. It's hard for a person to stay in pride when you're humble. It's hard for a person to stay in hate if you're loving. So if I come and now I'm saying, I apologize for how I made you feel. Now it breaks open a conversation to say, okay, well now let's talk about why it happened or what it happened. But it starts there first. Like just imagine us trying to talk about you did this, I did this, or I don't like how you did this. And we're so stuck in logic that none of us really humble ourselves to say, you know what? it's just like, it's submitting. It's like bowing to me.
I don't know, but you know what's crazy is I feel the exact same way, y'all, about the accountability. If you come to me and you say, hey, I take accountability, this is how I XYZ, to me, I would just take that more than I apologize. Because it's like, it's the principle, like you said, how me and your husband are.
Yeah.
It's like you understand the principle and the logic behind why I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's like the accountability piece where you're understanding, like I'm taking, it's almost like an apology flipped. It's like,
I was going to ask you that because like, so help me to understand like how you see an apology versus accountability, because I can see how they can kind of be similar.
I can see how they can kind of be similar. So for me, I say an apology is always not, it always doesn't have an explanation with it. It's like, hey, I apologize for doing that to you. And accountability is, hey, I apologize because this is what you experienced. I apologize because this is what happened. I mean, not apologize, my bad. I take accountability because I did X, Y, Z. And to me, it just brings light to the situation where we have a full understanding.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it may just be like my past with apologies have always been like, hey, I'm sorry. Or, hey, I apologize. And I've grown and matured to just say, okay, and I forgive you. And then the accountability piece was never there. And then the actions didn't follow because they didn't take accountability.
Yeah,
So
that makes a lot of sense. But that's also too unfair, though.
Why are you
it's
saying?
Unfair for those in your future or now, because if somebody in your past apologized and kept doing it, so now you see my apology a certain way and I didn't even get a chance to mess up again.
No,
you see what I'm saying?
I'll give another chance because I'm gonna always give grace for sure, because I look at.
But even if you give it a chance, it's like, okay, well, I want to see it. It's like the whole posture of it.
Because true repentance is change behavior.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you have where somebody in the past may have apologized and they kept doing the same behavior.
Okay.
So now I'm conditioned to expecting people to some extent to apologize, and then I need to see you change. It's not just you saying it. Where for someone who haven't experienced that, saying it is just enough for them, because that means I'm expecting you to change if you said it, versus I didn't heard it before, I need to see your actions. You know what I'm saying? Because it helps me understand T2. People who probably really require accountability, maybe it is because the words haven't been enough for them in the past.
Right.
Or do you think it's just a personality wire thing? It has nothing to do with past experience.
I think that everything has something to do with past experiences. I would just say, for me, because I've grown, I feel like I'm mature in that space. Yeah. I can take an apology and be done with it, because I can just lay it at the feet of the Lord and be done with it. But to say that I don't prefer accountability would be a lie, because I prefer accountability and I prefer actions, because we just have to be action people.
Yeah, I agree.
So I agree. That's kind of how I feel. So what do you feel like, I know this is deep in your business, but what do you feel like has been like one of the hardest moments where you had to apologize, or who you've had to apologize to? Because again, like for me, because you're my friend outside of like, it's a setup or, ministry, you're my friend besides our sister relationship. You're such an apologetic person.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like?
I think that's kind of hard for me to answer, simply because I'm such an apologetic person. I apologize all the time. And sometimes it's not simply because of something someone expressed to me I did wrong. It's a lot of times the Holy Spirit showing me you could have did that better. So it's like habitual for me. And it's not always a good thing because of my relationships, because I do it so much. People assume that it's not a pure place or it's passive. Like my husband, like, it don't mean nothing to him because I say it, but I'm like, I'm saying it. Me saying it is a big deal to say it. Like, I really mean it. It's heartfelt. Like, and I need time to adjust my actions, but my heart, me saying it means my heart is in the right place. Some things don't take instant change, especially if it's stuff that wiring issues. You know what I'm saying? If I'm wired, if from my past, if I was raised doing something. So for example, let's just say an example.
We need an example.
This is an example that's so simple, but it's so profound. So let's say my mother growing up, when we washed dishes, we didn't have a dishwasher. I'm from North Philadelphia, nice town, and we didn't have a dishwasher. So when we would wash dishes, we would like use paper towel or a dry rag to dry them, and we were just taught to put the dishes up.
Right.
My husband is from Miami, so in Miami they have dishwashers, so he don't like to use paper towels to dry dishes. And it's something that's an irritant for him. It's not a big deal for me, but it's irritating to him.
It's irritating
and so
to me
I'm like,
too.
okay, I'm going to try to change that. But the thing about it is that that's something that doesn't happen overnight, because I did it my whole life. So if I'm only married for you for 3 years and I have done this for 20 something years, you can't expect it to happen overnight. So that's something that really doesn't require apology, but I'm just using an example that even if I did apologize for that, you have to give me grace to have slip up in that area, because it's not going to happen overnight. So accountability is me saying, I know it's a problem. I apologize for it, but I need grace for you to work with me in this area. Yeah.
So to me, it may not be, if my brother is watching this, I'm sorry. It may not be minute to him, but when I think of like change behavior and actions, I don't think of something that's minute. I think of something that's detrimental. You get what I'm saying? Okay. And so,
like what? Like an example?
Something that's detrimental. Maybe a way that you're treated by your husband, or maybe a way that I'm treated by my husband. Okay. And it's like, this is that I've been traumatized in this area, and because you don't mean any harm by it, or whatever the case may be, you apologize, and because it's detrimental to me, there's not a change behavior behind it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So that,
or an attempt to change, like any adjustment.
I'm like, for me, and this is not on no goody two shoe tip, but I am the type of person that if you come to me and you like, hey, I really didn't like that, I'm changing in an instant. Yeah. Literally. Just because it's like, I don't know if like I have those expectations, probably. I
think you do.
But I'm so in love with people that God gave me. Yeah. It hurts me to even know that I've had some intricate parts of them.
So you're willing to make that adjustment fast
immediately.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense though. Wow, that's good. That makes a lot of sense. I think that that helps me to understand you more, and even other people who function like that. Because for me, it's like more so like I understand it's going to take time. Yeah. And
I'd be like, I don't understand why we an adult. Yeah. Why does it take time?
Why we got to keep talking about the same thing over?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it takes time. Yeah. I mean, and even when we think about like forgiveness, like when we forgive or we repent for something and we ask God to forgive us, like sometimes we got to go, how many times are we asking God to forgive us over and over again? So I guess my thing is like, if I need grace to walk through the areas where I'm falling short and it's not instant for me, how can I expect it to be instant for you, my husband?
I guess it just get off my brother. I guess it just depends on what it is. Yeah. But let me answer the question that I asked you. Okay. The question was who or when is the time where you had to apologize, where it was really difficult? So for me, I think now I do it. But growing up parenting, or growing with my kids parenting, it was hard for me. Like the first maybe like 8 years. Yeah. Because I had that stigma in my head, like parents are always right. And so now I'm like, I'm sorry, my bad, especially with the baby. I'm like, I'm sorry too. Yeah. And so that definitely, thank you God that he's helped me realize like that because you're a parent, we get it wrong.
Come on now, that's good.
Yeah, we get it wrong because our kids can hear from God too. So just being apologetic as a parent, like that's something that I've grown into for sure. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, I agree. Same here. I think that that's important for a lot of parents to know, because I think our parenting styles, although we have differences, is very similar in the sense that we really try to rely on the Holy Spirit. Oh yeah. And it's I know this is not a parenting. We're gonna do a episode on parenting.
This is how real conversations.
Yeah, I know we're gonna do an episode on parenting, but more so just being able to humble yourself to realize like that I make mistakes and I get it wrong even in my parenting. Yeah. And especially listen, when you get children that are teenagers and they're starting to get to age, they'll hold you accountable.
Accountable.
And kids need to see action as well,
Yeah.
because we were just talking about this on one of our other podcasts with Pastor Ronnie, is that kids model our behavior, image bearers. So, you know, we teach them how to take accountability by showing them that we're taking accountability. We can't tell them, hey, baby, you know, I don't want you doing this in my dishes, or I don't want you driving the car this way. And then they seeing us do the same thing.
Yeah.
We not taking.
Listen. Girl, the boys have gotten me so good, y'all. Listen, girl, I'm driving. You know they're driving now. And I'm driving, and they're like, well, you told me don't text and drive. I'm looking crazy than a mug, y'all. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, you what's the speed limit? And so it is important. And I'm such a huge apology, accountability, action person that even those small things can be really huge for people. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think that even in friendships, I think that when you have the personality like yours, and prayerfully, like, this takes time. So even if you're not a person that's extremely apologetic, you like, I don't know what they talking about, but when you get to a place where you can really begin to take accountability, I believe that accountability is what drives us to apologize.
Yeah.
Like even with God, when
because
you think about, it's like when you think about sin. So for me, that's the reason why, again, apology is so big, because in order for me to come to you and say, I'm sorry, I have already internally took accountability for it. Of course, you do have to let the person know that I took accountability, but it starts, that happens for me first.
Got you.
Before I even open my mouth.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I think.
But what if you don't have? What if you? Because y'all just heard her. She said she almost 90% right all the time.
Yeah. I mean, most of the times I apologize is because it's not about me being right, and I used to battle with that because I'm like, I know I'm right.
But how can you take? My question is, how can you take accountability if you're saying that? How do you take accountability if you're not wrong in that? Is that
it just depends on what I'm taking accountability for. Like, I'm not always taking accountability for what I did. It's how I did it or how I said it. You know what I'm saying? So an example. So we're having a conversation and we're in a disagreement. And it could have been my tone. It could have been how I said it to you. It could have been how I showed up for you. I might have a real valid excuse on why I was late. Mm-hmm. You know, my tire could have went flat. I could have had somebody that was sick. But because it affected you, I still got to take accountability and apologize for how I made you feel, even though I know that it's nothing I could have did about it.
Yeah.
So like right, when I say right, like right in my, like I couldn't change it.
Yeah.
I'm not wrong because there's nothing I could have do to change the situation. I did my best, but I apologize still.
Yeah.
Because it affected you.
Yeah.
Because it affected your time. Because it affected your money. So I think for me, accountability happens first. Internally. If a person is, and that's not with everybody, because we got some people where they just say, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Don't be one of those people.
I apologize.
That's not cute.
They say that nothing changed and you stay in toxic relationships and that's all they do is say, I'm sorry, and keep doing the same thing. Yeah. But I'm talking about those who literally is heartfelt apology. Mm-hmm. Accountability happens first because you have to introspect and say, man, I could have handled that differently.
So what makes you know that their apology is sincere?
I don't really know if it's that my job to really discern, if try to figure that out though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just accept it. And I think you will find that out eventually. But initially, I feel like me personally, it takes too much work to try to figure out, do they really mean what they're saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I was just getting to the point of actions.
Yeah.
I was just getting to the point of actions. But, yeah, definitely. I think that's not our job. Because the fact of the matter is we just have to accept the apology whether they give it or not.
And you hear people say it all the time, I don't accept that. You can keep it. You hear people say, keep it. Keep it.
Yeah, I used to be one of those people.
Yeah, keep it to you.
I did because, like I said, of course, I'm more mature now, but I used to be I'm still an actions person. I'm still a huge character. That's who I am at heart. But I used to be that person where I'm like, you don't have to apologize. Like, and I think that's not the best place to be for sure now because it doesn't give space for the person to be apologetic. Mm-hmm. And so it's like you're shutting them down. You're not even giving them an opportunity.
Wow.
So yeah, but I used to be that person because I'm like, I don't know, it's almost like projecting rejection.
That's good.
So we just have to be careful with that.
I love that. I love that you said that. And I think that that process that we're talking about, it changes depending on the level of relationship. Like, so for example, if it's somebody who crossed me, did something to hurt me, and this is somebody that I'm not in covenant with, someone that I don't feel that there's an assignment in our relationship, and God exposes something they do, they can apologize, but I honestly don't need them to take accountability. I don't need any actions for them, because sometimes God allowed that to happen to reveal to me that that person doesn't belong in my life. However, if this is a person where there's an assignment on a relationship, like our relationship, we have an assignment on our friendship, there's covenant, it's life. Or if it's my husband where we're doing life together. No, seriously. Or my children or my friends or a spiritual covering or a pastor or someone who I know God has said, I'm calling you to walk with this person. To me, that's completely different. The process is different because the level of commitment is different. So for me, it is one of those things where I understand that the enemy loves division. So my fight constantly is, how can I stay in agreement with this person? How can we stay in unity? Sure. Because if the enemy can get us in disagreement and get us in a place where we're not apologizing, we're not taking accountability, our actions are not changing, then it's just open door for the enemy to come have fun.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I completely agree. And then I think that we have to look at the whole scope of the relationship, like you said, because you say this all the time, y'all. This is her line. We still gonna be married. We still gonna be friends. It don't matter. We still gonna be. And so you have to look at the relationship.
Yeah, and that's my mindset. Get over it. Like, it's not passive, and I know people don't hate it because if a person's feelings is hurt, but I feel the same way. Like, if my feelings are hurt, I know how to. I think I have another level of apostolic grit, I call it, or emotional intelligence, where I can understand how I feel from what's real. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I may feel bad about how you made me feel, but what's real is that we're married, we're doing life, we're not going nowhere, the enemy not going to win.
We got to keep moving.
So we got to keep going. I apologize. I love you. Let's put this under our feet. Let's talk about it, and let's continue to do life. Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to spend a lot of time and talking about, you know, the intricate parts of it. Let's talk about it. Let's forgive each other. Let's love each other and get past it. That's a struggle for me sometimes. And it has been in my marriage in one season because my husband is wired completely different.
He's wired like...
Yeah, like her, my friend. Yeah. And it's interesting how God will give you friends that has personalities similar to your spouse. It's like training ground. Seriously, it's training ground.
And I think because our friendship is... it's definitely not more intimate, but it's intimate on another level, and there's trust there. Yeah. So I'm able to say certain things to get you to understand the perspective that he may be in, and vice versa, because she's like my husband too. It's really weird. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So there's things that you'll say to me regarding my husband, and I'm like, oh, I understand it, but because there may be a defense up or something we're dealing with, because it's coming from you and you two are alike, it gives me a different perspective.
Yeah. And I think like the key is, I think one of the things that helps us move past stuff and is understanding the weight on your relationships. Like our relationship, me and your relationship has so much weight on it that it's like, if you get on my nerves, it's like, okay, I still got to talk to her. I still got to, like, you know, it's like that, like your kids. You know what I'm saying?
We still here. I'm still your mom.
But the problem is that we don't see sometimes our friendships or our relationships or even spiritual relationships the right way. We just think everybody, this is a society where everybody is blockable, cut offable. I'm making up words.
Oh, y'all. And let me tell you, before Christ,
like next,
my block list used to be so strong. But God is so good, like, and he's so good where he places certain people in my life, one, and then two, I'm able to listen to him. So certain relationships, they don't even have proximity. So we don't even have to cross the apology, accountability, and action line, because you're not even in my
That's
proximity.
What I'm saying. It's no weight or assignment on a relationship. So there's no need for us to even go through those steps. It's a waste of time to go through those steps. But I always say this was a quote I posted on my page. I said, everybody is not replaceable. Everybody's not replaceable. I'm not replaceable.
I need you to know that about me.
Yeah, or disposable. And so once we get, once we get that mindset and we realize that.
I think that's a good question y'all need to ask y'all close circle. because I think that'll give insight. I don't know if you're gonna get a truthful answer. I hope y'all would, but just asking those people in your life, like, how do you view me?
Yeah, I'm not disposable. I struggle and was hurt a lot in relationships because for me, when I'm doing life with you and I allow you into a certain level of intimacy in my life, I take that so seriously that you're not disposable. You have to do some really crazy stuff for me to cut you off, because it's like I'm committed to you. It's covenant for me. And so when I'm in covenant with people, for them to be cut off or disposable, it has to be pure demonic. Like, it has to be the enemy himself, because I'm going to fight, because I understand there's an assignment on a relationship. So I think that this culture struggles really bad with that. It's like block, cut off, even in relationships, marriages, divorces. It's like everybody, as soon as they make you mad, as soon as you see one flaw, as soon as you do one thing, it's like clip. Yeah, I'm done.
I think not even putting it on the table, making it an option in certain relationships, unless God has told you, is key.
Yep, I agree.
So, like, even in marriage, throwing around the D word, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. But I think that, and then setting expectations on, for me and you, I don't know, like, I just say, like, oh, I'm sorry, sis. You be like, oh, I'm sorry, sis, and we keep it moving. But if you're really heavy in that, then I think setting expectations with friends and different, your spouse in different relationships is important too, because everyone doesn't move the same. Because there's a assignment on our friendship, and God really did this. He really, like, it's like, for us, and we don't really have those type of issues. I understand how you move, and you understand how I move, although they're completely different. Yeah. That may not be the case for everyone. So I think just setting those healthy expectations in certain relationships.
And I think also too, like, I don't struggle with this, but this is something that I encourage people to really do, is like really ask God to help work on your memory. Because when God shows you something about a person, you got to remember who they are in difficult seasons. Goodness. Like for me, God will always show me their heart. God, show me their heart again, because somebody can really piss you off, upset you, make you mad, and you're in all of these feelings, and now you're beginning to move things around and make decisions based off how you feel, not remembering that, wait a minute, how about when that person was there for me? Period. How about when that person showed up for me? How about when that person had my back? This is just a momentarily feeling. And it's not that what I'm experiencing is not real. It's just that this relationship has weight on it, and I can't cut it off. And sometimes the enemy will really do some things to block your memory. Yeah, I can't stand people that get forgetful. Like, how many times I showed up for you, this one time I didn't come? You gonna block me?
I'm laughing because that's how I am too. I'm like, you forgot?
Yeah, what? Like this one time. But the thing about it is, it's not fair, because God doesn't do that to us.
But I think that's culture too. Like, we are so quick to be like, oh, well, that didn't happen the way that I expected it to happen, and so your block deleted it, and it's a wrap.
Yeah, and I think that stems from a spirit of rejection, where is anytime I feel like somebody's trying me, disrespecting me, remind you, I'm saying feel, because these are feelings. Yep. I feel like this person is disrespecting me. I feel like this person is rejecting me. I feel like this person is betraying me. So automatically I'm going to do an action. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think before you even get to actions, the apology, the conversation, the accountability, like that has to happen, but it doesn't happen often because people are just like, I know what I feel. They take their feelings as it's like 3D, like it's so real to them that it overrides who that person is. Yeah. What God told you about the person. Yeah. What that person did for you. Yeah. And to me, like, that's hard for me to fathom. Like, how could this one situation override who I am?
I think that when we consider them going through a season, we have to just be able to talk to them. You know, you're super big at communicating, but just being able to walk them through that, because like you said, because we can have seasons where we're going through things in life, and it can really affect us emotionally.
Yeah. And the key is that you don't always have to talk about it right away. So like if your feelings are high, sometimes what I'll do is, there's a lot of times where I can feel offended, an offense, or feel rejected, or feel hurt, and I can know somebody's wrong, but I'm not going to talk about it right there and then, because when my emotions are high, and I'm using my husband for example, because this is one of my closest relational and this is real for marriages, like covenant people that you wake up that you're in covenant with, is that we can be going through something and I know he was wrong and I know we need to have a conversation, but I probably wait a couple of days to talk about it simply because I don't want to have the heat of my feelings. I want to come to him after I apologize, after I process it, after I repented for what I said. And sometimes when it come down, so people say, oh, you need to have a conversation right away. That's not always the case. Sometimes you may have the conversation on the spot, and then sometimes you may have to have the conversation later. It just depends on how you're wired. Now, if it's going to cause you to be mad for 3 days, then have the conversation faster. But for me, I know how, we talked about this the other day, I know how to still love you despite how you made me feel.
Yeah.
Like, you made me mad, I'm still going to cook.
Yeah.
I'm still going to love you.
I'm still growing, y'all, because I'm going to go get me something to eat. I'm going to let you figure out your accountability piece, and you can cook.
You're like, you going to figure it out. You hurt my feelings. You cook for yourself.
And I'm going to go grab me some Chick-fil-A or something.
But I think it's good that your personality is like that, because it really trains a person to know that you can't mistreat me. Yeah. And I will say that even though I'm wired that way, and there's some good parts of that I can push through, but if, depending on the personality trait you're dealing with, you can become very passive in situations, and it can cause abuse because people are used to you saying, I can do this and she's still gonna cook. Yeah, I can do this and she's still gonna love me. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm learning is that even though I can push through, the conversation is still important, because that person still needs to know that, hey, this is how you made me feel. But I don't need the person to tell me, check this out, it's so powerful. When my husband or you or my friends or my children that I'm in covenant with, they do something to upset me, they don't have to tell me they love me. I'm wired to do this. I know they didn't mean that. I know they love me. That's so good. I do that. I practice this with my husband. I'm like, he really loves me. He didn't really mean that. He's having a moment. I don't personal. I'm reminded of who he is. Like, he loves me.
That's so good though, because what it does is it helps you have a mindset shift. And a heart shift. And it's so good. And then it allows us to really point the finger at who's it supposed to be pointed at, which is the enemy.
Which is the enemy. You ain't my enemy. So I'll honestly say he loves me. I know he got my back. I know that's my man. I know that's the king of my castle. Period. I know that. And so, but he could have just did have something that really just hurt my feelings. Yeah. But I make that adjustment in my heart to keep my heart soft, so I can continue to still cook for him and love him. So it's not like I'm doing these things from a bitter place. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, some people be like, well, I'm still going to cook. I'm cooking and I'm stirring the pot. It's like,
food isn't good.
Yeah. And what I realized is that for his personality type, which is similar to yours, it shifts him really quickly when he see, like, God, she's still loving me, and it makes him feel like, God, I'm being a bully. Yeah. Like, let me just get myself together. You know what I'm saying? But this is good. This is good. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope this blessed you guys. Yes. And we'll see you guys next time.
It's a setup.